The alarm bells rang across the orbital station Liberty as something approached from deep space. Commander Jake Morrison ran down the metal corridors, his boots making loud sounds on the floor. He had never seen anything like this before. Object on the screens was huge and silver, shaped like a teardrop floating in the black emptiness. "Sir, they're sending a message," said Lieutenant Kevin Shaw from his control station. His hands moved quickly over the buttons and screens. "It's not in any language we know, but our computers are trying to figure it out." Jake looked at the main screen where strange symbols appeared and disappeared. The alien ship was 3 times bigger than their station, but it just sat there in space waiting. No weapons were firing. No threats were being made. What? It just waited. "Any luck with the translation?" Jake asked Dr. Lisa Warren, who stood near a computer with wires and cables. Everywhere. She was the smartest person on the station when it came to new kinds of life. "Getting something now," Lisa said, her eyes focused on the screen. "The computer says they want to talk. They're asking for permission to come aboard." Heart beat faster. This was it. The moment humans had wondered about for years. First contact with aliens. Real aliens from somewhere else in the galaxy? He thought about all the movies and books that had tried to guess what this would be like. None of them had prepared him for how scared and excited he felt right now. "Tell them yes," Jake said. "But only a small group. They have to follow our rules." 20 minutes later, the alien ship sent over a small transport. It was quiet and smooth, nothing like the loud rockets humans used. The transport docked with their station, and Jake waited with his team in the main meeting room. The door opened with a soft sound, and the aliens walked in. Jake tried not to stare, but it was hard. They looked like tall, thin humans, but their skin was light blue, and their eyes were huge and black. They moved carefully, like they were afraid of breaking something. Each alien wore a suit that covered their whole body with a clear helmet over their head. "Greetings," said the alien in front. The voice came from a small device on its chest, speaking perfect English. "I am Ambassador Zethara of the Kalani people. We come from the Galactic Council with an urgent request." Jake stepped forward. "I'm Commander Morrison. Welcome to our station." "What kind of request?" Zethara looked around the room nervously. "May we sit? Your gravity is quite strong for us." Lisa quickly brought chairs, and the aliens sat down carefully. Jake noticed they were breathing hard, like they had just run a long distance. "Commander Morrison," Zethara began, "we need your help. Our entire civilization is in danger. The Vrak Empire has conquered most of our galaxy, and we cannot stop them." "The Vrak Empire?" Jake asked. "Who are they?" "Machines," Zethara said, and fear showed in those big black eyes. "They were once living beings like us, but they put their minds into metal bodies long ago. Now they travel from world to world, destroying everything. They have already taken 70% of all known space." Dr. Warren leaned forward. "What makes them so dangerous?" "They learn," another alien said. This one introduced himself as Science Leader Morton. "Every time they fight an enemy, they study how that enemy thinks and fights, and they become better at fighting that kind of enemy. Every species that has tried to stop them has failed and been destroyed." Jake felt a cold feeling in his stomach. "What does this have to do with us? We're new to space travel. We don't have the weapons or ships to fight a galactic empire." Zethara made a sound that might have been a laugh, but it sounded sad. "Commander, your species comes from what we call a Class 12 death world." "What?" Kevin asked. "A death world," Morton explained. "A planet so dangerous that most life forms cannot survive there. Your world has weather that can kill, animals that hunt, other animals, diseases that spread through the air, and plants that are poisonous. Most worlds in the galaxy are peaceful places where life grows slowly and safely." Lisa blinked in surprise. "You mean most planets aren't like Earth?" "Absolutely not," Zethara said. "Most worlds have gentle weather, friendly animals, and safe plants. Violence is rare. War is almost unknown. That is why we cannot defeat the Vrak. We do not think like fighters." Jake was starting to understand, but humans do. "Yes," Zethara said. "Your species has survived on a world where everything tries to kill you. You fought wars for thousands of years. You think about strategy and tactics like other species think about art or music. The Vrak machines are logical and smart, but they have never faced anything like human creativity in battle. The room was quiet for a moment. Jake looked at his team and saw the same thoughts in their eyes. This was bigger than anything they had ever dealt with. What exactly are you asking us to do? Jake said finally. Send soldiers, Zathera replied. Teachers who can show our people how to fight. Leaders who can plan battles the way humans do. In return, we will share our technology with your species. Faster than light travel, energy weapons, medical knowledge, that can extend your lives by hundreds of years. Dr. Warren's eyes got wide. You're talking about advancing human civilization by thousands of years? If there is still a civilization left to advance, Morton said darkly. The Vrak are moving toward our core worlds. We estimate 6 months before they reach the heart of Council space. After that, they will spread outward, looking for new worlds to conquer. Jake felt the weight of the decision pressing down on him. This wasn't just about helping aliens. If these Vrak machines conquered the galaxy, they would eventually find Earth. And Earth wasn't ready for that kind of fight. I need to talk to my government, Jake said. This isn't a decision I can make alone, of course, Zathera said, standing up slowly. But please, Commander, do not take too long. Every day we wait, more worlds fall to the machines. As the aliens prepared to leave, Dr. Warren asked one more question. How many species are in this galactic council? 347, Zathera answered, and all of them combined have not been able to stop the Vrak Empire. After the aliens left, Jake sat alone in the meeting room, staring out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, machines were destroying entire civilizations. And somehow, Earth might be the galaxy's only hope. He thought about human history. It's about all the wars and battles and struggles that had shaped his species. Maybe all of that fighting and dying had been preparing humanity for this moment. Maybe being from a death world was exactly what the galaxy needed. Jake activated his communication system and prepared to send the most important message in human history back to Earth. The message that would change everything. The message from Space Station Liberty reached Earth in 4 hours. President William Hayes sat in the White House Situation Room, reading the report for the 3rd time. Around the long table, military leaders and scientists argued about what to do. This could be the greatest opportunity in human history, said General Patricia Brooks, pointing at the holographic display showing alien star maps. Advanced technology, new worlds to explore, and allies across the galaxy. Or it could be the greatest trap, replied Secretary of Defense Robert Kim. We know nothing about these aliens except what they told us. How do we know this isn't some kind of trick? Dr. Amy Turner, the government's lead expert on space biology, looked up from her tablet. The scans from the Liberty confirm everything they said. Their biology shows they really are from a low-gravity, low-radiation world. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. If they wanted to hurt us, they wouldn't need tricks. President Hayes rubbed his tired eyes. What about their story? Is Vrak Empire? The energy signatures match, said General Brooks. Our deep space sensors have detected massive battles in distant star systems. Something big is happening out there, and it's moving in our general direction. How long before it reaches us? Hayes asked. If their expansion rate stays the same, maybe 50 to 100 years, Dr. Turner said. But that's assuming they don't speed up once they finish with the council worlds. He stood up and walked to the window. Outside, people were living normal lives, not knowing that their entire species was about to make the biggest decision in human history. General Brooks, if we say yes, what are we really committing to? Limited military assistance, Brooks replied. We send advisors and trainers, maybe a few thousand volunteers. We're not talking about throwing our entire military into an alien war. But we're talking about revealing our capabilities to the galaxy, Secretary Kim pointed out. Once we show what humans can do in combat, we can never go back to being unknown. Turn back to the table. Any other options? We could say no and hope the Vrak never find us, Dr. Turner said quietly. But if they win this war, they'll have the resources of hundreds of worlds. Finding one more planet wouldn't be hard for them. The room was quiet for a long moment. Then Hayes made his decision. We help them, but we do it our way. 3 weeks. Later, Colonel Danny Price stood on the deck of the Starship Endeavour, humanity's first true warship. The ship was built using a mix of human engineering and alien technology provided by the Council. It wasn't pretty, but it was fast and tough. Hands, prepare for jump, announced Captain Ryan Bell over the ship's speakers. The Endeavour carried 300 volunteers from every branch of Earth's military, plus scientists and engineers ready to learn alien technology. The jump to faster than light speed felt like falling through water. Up one moment they were looking at Earth's moon, the next they were in an alien star system with 3 suns and a massive space station orbiting a purple planet. Welcome to Sanctuary, came a transmission from the station. This is the Council's primary military base. As the Endeavour docked with the station, Colonel Price gathered his officers. Remember, we're here to learn as much as teach. These aliens have been fighting this war for years. They know the enemy better than we do. The first surprise came. When they walked off the ship, the alien station had gravity, but it was lighter than Earth's. The human soldiers found they could jump twice as high and run twice as fast. The aliens, meanwhile, moved slowly and carefully, like they were walking on ice. Ambassador Zathera met them at the docking bay, along with several alien military commanders. Colonel Price, thank you for coming. We have prepared quarters for your people and training facilities, where we can begin immediately. What's the rush? Asked Major Chris Stone, Price's second-in-command. The Vrak attacked the Helio system yesterday, replied General Kevtar, a tall alien with 4 arms and gray skin. 3 worlds, 15 billion people. All gone in 6 hours. The humans exchanged looks. They had read the reports, but hearing it made the war feel real in a way that numbers on a screen could not. The first training session was a disaster. The aliens had set up a simulation of a typical space battle, where 2 fleets would meet in open space and exchange fire until one side retreated or was destroyed. This is how all space combat works, explained Colonel Yithmer, a senior alien officer. Ships form lines, maintain proper distance, and engage with long-range weapons. Major Stone raised his hand. What about flanking maneuvers? Surprise attacks? Using asteroids or debris as cover? The aliens looked confused. Those tactics are not honorable, Yithmer said. Space combat follows established rules. Both sides must have equal opportunities to win. Equal opportunities? Lieutenant Kevin Shaw laughed. In war, you want every advantage you can get.
Oh.
The whole point is to make sure the other guy doesn't have an equal opportunity. Dr. Amy Turner, who had volunteered to study alien psychology, watched the aliens' reactions carefully. They looked horrified by the human suggestions. You must understand, Zathera explained later in private, most council species evolved on peaceful worlds. War is something we learned about from books, not experience. The idea of deliberately trying to harm others goes against our basic nature. But the Vrak don't follow your rules, Colonel Price pointed out. No, they do not. That is why we are losing. The breakthrough came during the 2nd week. A Vrak scouting fleet attacked a council research station only 2 light years away. The aliens prepared to send a rescue fleet following standard procedures, which would take 8 hours to organize and deploy. 8 hours, Price said in disbelief. Those people will be dead in 1 hour. We cannot deploy ships faster, General Kevtar insisted. Proper formation takes time. Battle plans must be reviewed. Supply lines must be secured. Price looked at Captain Bell. How fast can we get there? 20 minutes if we leave right now, Bell replied. Then we leave right now. The aliens were shocked when the Endeavour broke away from the station and jumped too. Faster than light speed without any preparation, no battle plans, no formation, no backup. Just one human ship charging toward an enemy fleet, the research station, was already under attack when they arrived. 3 Vrak ships, each twice the size of the Endeavour, were systematically destroying the station's defenses. The aliens inside were sending desperate calls for help. Enemy ships have superior firepower. And armor, reported Shaw from the weapons station. Recommend immediate retreat and wait for reinforcements. Negative, Price said calmly. Attack pattern Delta. Full speed. The Endeavor accelerated directly at the largest wrack ship. The alien machines had never seen anything like it. In there, experienced smaller ships always kept their distance from larger ones. The logical thing to do was retreat and call for help. But humans didn't always do logical things. The Endeavor flew straight at the wrack flagship, firing everything it had. At the last second, Bell rolled the ship and flew underneath the enemy vessel, scraping paint and launching every missile it carried directly into the machine ship's belly. The wrack ship exploded in a ball of fire and metal. The other two enemy ships, confused by the suicidal attack, tried to retreat, but the Endeavor was faster and more agile. In 10 minutes, all 3 wrack ships were destroyed. The rescue fleet from Sanctuary arrived 3 hours later to find the research station saved and the human ship already heading home. How did they do it? General Kevtar asked Zathera as they watched the battle recordings. They're fought like the predators they are, Zathera replied softly. And I think we have just shown the galaxy something very dangerous. News of the human victory spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Within days, every council species knew about the crazy attack that destroyed 3 wrack ships. Some aliens called the humans heroes, others called them dangerous. Monsters that should be sent away immediately. Admiral Greg Campbell arrived at Sanctuary with 5 more human ships and 1,000 new volunteers. He was a big man with gray hair and cold blue eyes who had fought in every major Earth conflict. For the past 20 years, the aliens found him terrifying and fascinating at the same time. The situation has changed, Ambassador Zathera told the human commanders during an emergency meeting. The Council wants to end our agreement with your species, they say. You are too violent and unpredictable. Let me guess, said Colonel Price, leaning back in his chair. The other half wants us to solve all their problems. Exactly. But there is a bigger concern. Our intelligence sources report that the Vrak Empire is sending their core fleet toward Council space. These are not scouting ships or occupation forces. These are their primary war machines, perfected through centuries of conquest. Dr. Amy Turner looked up from her tablet where she had been studying Vrak technology. How many ships are we talking about? Over 10,000 vessels, replied General Kevtar. Each one more advanced than anything we have seen before. And they are coming directly toward our most important worlds. Admiral Campbell stood up and walked to the star map projected in the center of the room. Where's their main target? Zathera touched a control, and the map zoomed in on a blue star system. Near the edge of Council space, the Kepler system. It contains our largest industrial worlds and the Council's central government. If they take Kepler, the war is over. How long do we have? Campbell asked. 3 weeks, maybe 4. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Campbell smiled and the aliens shivered at that expression. Good. That gives us time to prepare a proper welcome. The next 2 weeks were chaos. Merrill Campbell turned Sanctuary into a training center where humans taught aliens everything they knew about war. The lessons were harsh and brutal by alien standards. Major Chris Stone showed Council officers how to plan battles where losing ships and soldiers was acceptable if it led to victory. The aliens struggled with the concept that some people had to die for others to live. Lieutenant Kevin Shaw taught alien engineers how to modify their weapons for close combat instead of long-range dueling. Forget about honor, he told them. Forget about fair fights. The only rule in war is to win. Meanwhile, Dr. Turner made a discovery that changed everything. She had been studying captured Vrak technology when she found something impossible hidden in their computer systems. They're not just machines, she announced to the command staff. There are organic neural patterns inside their processors. The Vrak used to be living beings, but they uploaded their minds into computer networks. So they think like people. Not machines? Asked Colonel Price. Worse. They think like people who chose to become immortal by giving up their bodies. Oh. They have all the intelligence of biological life, but none of the weaknesses. No fear of death, No emotional limitations? No physical needs? Admiral Campbell nodded slowly. That explains why they're so good at learning from their enemies. They're not just copying tactics, they're analyzing the psychology behind those tactics. But it also gives us an advantage, Dr. Turner continued. Every species they've absorbed was logical and predictable. They've never encountered anything like human chaos theory applied to warfare. The plan Campbell developed was insane by any rational standard. Instead of defending Kepler with massed fleets in organized formations, he scattered human ships throughout the star system. Each ship would act independently, with no central command structure and no predictable patterns. You want us to fight? Without coordination? Asked Captain Tony Martin, who commanded the new battlecruiser Freedom. How will we know what the other ships are doing? You won't, Campbell replied. That's the point. If we don't know what we're doing, neither will the Vrak. Captain Helen Parker, commander of the assault carrier Victory, raised her hand. Sir, this goes against every principle of fleet combat. We'll be fighting blind. Exactly. The Vrak expect us to be smart and organized. Instead, we're going to be crazy and random. The aliens were horrified by the plan. General Kevtar argued that it would lead to disaster. Your ships will fire on each other by mistake. You will have no way to concentrate your forces where they are needed most. It's not strategy. This is madness, as Campbell agreed cheerfully. Complete madness. The Vrak won't see it coming. When the core fleet arrived at Kepler, they found what appeared to be a lightly defended system. A few dozen human ships floated near the outer planets, seemingly unprepared for battle. Vrak commanders calculated an easy victory and moved their 10,000 ships into attack formation. That was when the madness began, Captain. Martin's Freedom had been hiding inside an asteroid belt, powered down and playing dead. When the Vrak fleet passed by, he suddenly activated all systems and charged directly at their flagship. The enemy responded by focusing their entire formation on the single attacking ship. While they were distracted, Captain Parker's Victory launched every fighter and bomber it carried in a kamikaze attack on the Vrak supply ships. The enemy machines could not understand why small craft would deliberately crash into their vessels, destroying both attacker and target. From the outer system, human ships began appearing everywhere at once. They had been hiding behind moons, inside gas giant atmospheres, and even floating in interstellar space beyond the system's edge. Each ship attacked independently. With no regard for their own safety or survival, the Vrak formation began to collapse as their careful battle plans fell apart. Every time they adjusted to counter one human attack, 3 more came from unexpected directions. Ships that should have retreated kept fighting. Ships that should have been destroyed somehow survived and kept attacking. Captain Sandra White commanded a small destroyer called Relentless. Her ship was damaged and outgunned, facing 5 Vrak vessels that should have easily destroyed her. Instead of running or surrendering, she did something the Vrak could not compute. She activated her ship's self-destruct sequence and rammed the largest enemy vessel at full speed. The explosion took out 3 Vrak ships and damaged the other 2 so badly they had to retreat. It was a trade that made no logical sense. 1 small human ship for 3 large enemy vessels should have been impossible. But humans didn't fight with logic. They fought with desperation and controlled insanity. The battle lasted 18 hours. When it was over, the Vrak core fleet was broken and scattered. More than half their ships were destroyed or too damaged to continue fighting. The survivors retreated to their home territory, carrying with them something they had never experienced. Before fear, for the first time in their long existence, the Vrak Empire had encountered an enemy they could not understand or predict. The humans fought like nothing in their vast database of absorbed civilizations. They were willing to die for no logical reason, to sacrifice valuable resources for temporary advantages, to make decisions that defied all strategic sense. As the human ships regrouped and began rescue operations, Admiral Campbell received a message from Earth. The president wanted to know if the mission was successful. Campbell looked out at the debris field that had once been the most powerful fleet in the galaxy, then at his own scattered ships limping back to base. Half his crews were dead or wounded, and most of his vessels would need major repairs. Mission accomplished, he replied. The galaxy is safe. But he knew this was only the beginning. The destruction of the Vrak Corps fleet sent shockwaves across the galaxy. For the first time in 300 years, the Machine Empire had suffered a major defeat. But victory came with a price that nobody had expected. Fleet Admiral Greg Campbell stood in the command center of Sanctuary, watching reports flood in from across Council space. The aliens were celebrating, but their joy was mixed with something else: fear. They're afraid of us now, Dr. Amy Turner said quietly, reading the latest intelligence reports. Half the Council species are calling for humans to be banned from their territory. They say we're too dangerous to have as allies. The other half want us to take complete control of their military forces, added Colonel Danny Price. They think we can solve any problem with enough violence. Campbell rubbed his tired eyes. Had been fighting for 40 years, but this war felt different. They weren't just fighting for territory or resources. They were fighting for the right of all living beings to exist in a galaxy where machines wanted to consume everything. What's the latest from the Vrak territories? He asked. Lieutenant Kevin Shaw pulled up a holographic display showing the enemy's home systems. Their empire is fragmenting. Our psychological warfare units have been broadcasting recordings of the Kepler battle throughout their network. The idea that they can be defeated is spreading like a virus through their collective consciousness. Dr. Turner had spent months studying Vrak psychology, and her discoveries were both fascinating and terrifying. The Vrak achieved immortality by uploading their minds and removing all emotional weaknesses. But that also removed their ability to handle concepts like failure and mortality. When they experience real fear for the first time, their mental systems can't process it. Are you saying we're driving them insane? Asked Major Chris Stone. Something like that. Their original species was completely logical. It never had to deal with irrational behavior or unpredictable outcomes. Human warfare tactics are literally breaking their ability to think clearly. Campbell walked to the main display showing the current state of the galaxy. Red areas marked Vrak territory, blue showed Council space, and yellow indicated contested zones. The red was shrinking for the first time in centuries. Status report on our forces? Growing every day, replied Captain Sandra White, who had been promoted after her heroic sacrifice was somehow survived. Her new ship, the Defiance, was currently leading mixed human-alien crews throughout the war zone. We have 50,000 human volunteers now, plus alien crews trained in our tactics. How are the aliens adapting to human methods? Captain White smiled grimly. Better than expected, the younger ones especially. Turns out that once you show them violence can be used to protect instead of destroy, they become very effective soldiers. The turning point came when Colonel Price led a special mission into the heart of Vrak territory. His team included Sergeant Mike Torres, demolitions expert Corporal Steve Johnson, and a group of alien volunteers who had learned human stealth tactics. Their target was the Central Command Node, a massive computer facility that coordinated Vrak operations across dozens of star systems. The facility was defended by automated weapons and thousands of Guardian machines. But it had one weakness the Vrak had never considered. It was built logically. Every defense system follows predictable patterns, Price explained to his team as their ship approached the target system. Its overlapping fields of fire, redundant sensors, backup systems for everything. It's perfect protection against any rational attack. But we're not going to attack rationally, said Sergeant Torres, checking his equipment. Exactly. We're going to do something so stupid that their computers won't even recognize it as a threat. The plan was insane even by human standards. Instead of trying to sneak past the defenses or fight through them, Price's team would disguise themselves as space debris and let the facility's own security systems bring them inside. They launched their ship directly at the station's main docking bay, then ejected in individual escape pods disguised to look like wreckage from a destroyed vessel. The Vrak automated systems, programmed to collect and analyze any foreign objects, helpfully brought the debris inside for processing. Once inside, the team moved through the facility like ghosts. The Vrak had designed their security to stop armies and fleets, not small groups of individuals moving unpredictably through maintenance tunnels and air shafts. Corporal Johnson placed explosive charges throughout the central processing core, while the others created diversions in different parts of the facility. But the real weapon wasn't the explosives. It was the virus Dr. Turner had developed. It's not really a computer virus, she had explained before the mission. It's more like a psychological infection. The program introduces concepts of doubt, fear, and self-preservation into their network. For beings that achieved immortality by removing those emotions, exposure to them is mentally destructive. When the virus was uploaded into the central command node, the effect was immediate and devastating. Across the VRAC network, individual machines began questioning their orders for the first time in centuries. The concept of self-preservation, completely foreign to their programming, spread through their collective consciousness like wildfire. Some machines simply shut down rather than risk further exposure to irrational concepts. Others began fighting. Each other as competing interpretations of their mission created conflicts. The carefully organized VRAC empire began tearing itself apart from within. The final battle of the war was fought not in space, but in the digital realm of the VRAC collective consciousness. Human computer specialists, led by Dr. Nathan King, engaged in psychological warfare against an entire civilization of uploaded minds. "We're not trying to destroy them," Dr. King explained as his team worked around the clock. "We're trying to teach them something they've forgotten. It's what it means to be afraid." The VRAC Empire's collapse was swift and complete. Faced with concepts their minds could not process, their collective consciousness fractured into millions of individual fragments. Some machines chose to shut down permanently rather than experience fear. Others fled to the furthest edges of the galaxy, abandoning their conquest entirely. The war was over. But the aftermath proved as challenging as the conflict itself. Captain Sandra White, now Admiral White, took command of the newly formed Galactic Defense Force. Her flagship, the Harmony, carried crews from dozens of species, all trained in human tactical methods. But the integration wasn't easy. "The galaxy has changed," she reported to Fleet Admiral Campbell during their final meeting at Sanctuary. "Some species worship us as saviors. Others fear us as potential conquerors. Most don't know what to think, and the VRAC survivors, scattered and broken. Our psychologists are working with the ones that want help relearning how to be individuals, instead of a collective. Slow work, but some are making progress." Campbell looked out at the stars through the station's main window. Earth was barely visible in the distance, a small blue dot that had somehow saved an entire galaxy. What about humanity's role going forward? Admiral White was quiet for a moment. "We're the Guardians now, whether we wanted to be or not. Galaxy knows what humans can do in war. Some species will always be afraid of that knowledge. And our people? How are they handling being the most feared species in known space? Better than I expected. Must understand that with great power comes great responsibility. We've seen what happens when a species uses advanced technology for conquest. We won't make the same mistakes the VRAC did." Campbell nodded. The war was won, but the peace would be just as challenging. Humanity had proven itself capable of defeating the unconquerable enemy. But now they had to prove they could be trusted with that power. As Admiral White prepared to depart for her new assignment, Campbell gave her one final order. "Remember, we're not conquerors. We're protectors. The galaxy doesn't need another empire. It needs guardians who understand that sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when not to use it." The stars held new possibilities now. Humanity had taken its place among the greatest civilizations in galactic history, not through conquest or technology, but through the courage to fight for others and the wisdom to know when to stop fighting. The Death World had produced something the galaxy had never seen before: warriors who fought not for glory or power, but for the simple right of all life to exist in peace.